Berger, and I'm president of Whig Clio, and we are thrilled to once again be co-hosting the Latke Hamentaschen Debate with the Center for Jewish Life. Now, this is a very exciting year for both Whig Clio and the Latke Hamentaschen Debate. Whig Clio is celebrating its 250th anniversary, and it's been 70 years since the first Latke Hamentaschen Debate was held at the University of Chicago in 1946. While it's unclear exactly how long we've hosted our version of this great debate, I recently received an email from a Whig Clio alumna from the class of 1979 asking if we still have the event. So I think we can say with confidence that this is tradition. And yes, Fiddler on the Roof is a great musical. Now, another Whig Clio tradition is for the president to remain neutral during our Senate debates on political issues, which can be difficult because if you are to become the president of a political union, you generally have a lot of strong opinions that you like to express loudly and often. But we respect the importance of maintaining this society as an open forum for all views and opinions to be heard. Definitely coming a long way from our co-founder Aaron Burr's proclivity for duels to the death. So I'm going to leave any thoughts on the relative merits of the Latke and the Hamantashen to our wonderful debaters, who we thank so much for coming today, Professor Melissa Lane and Jonah Herzog-Arbeitman for Team Latke, and Professor Dobkin and Paul Schorin on behalf of the Hamantashen. I also want to thank Vice President for Student Life Rochelle Calhoun for moderating. Now, the good news for all of us is that no matter which way you come down on this important topic, it's really a win-win. You can't go wrong with fried potatoes or triangular cookies, and I'm happy to invite you all to join us downstairs after the debate to eat Latke and Hamantashen. Let's be grateful we're not having the gefilte fish pickled herring debate. Thank you again to the Center for Jewish Life for supplying the food, and to Josh Roberts for his hard work in making this happen. Now I'm going to turn it over to Josh, and may the best food win.
Hello, everyone. One second. This is making sure this works. Awesome. So hi, I'm Josh, and I am the president of the student board of the Center for Jewish Life, and I'm thrilled to welcome you to the 2016 Latke Hamentaschen Debate. This afternoon, I have the honor of introducing our wonderful moderator, Vice President Rochelle Calhoun. Vice President Calhoun is more than qualified to be hosting this timeless debate. At Mount Holyoke College, she studied both theater arts and politics, ultimately combining the two for her thesis of Hamantashen, a Jewish food musical. Such songs as "I Will Not Throw Away My Hamantashen," "You Strike Me as a Hamantashen That Always Satisfies," and my personal favorite, "The 10 Hamantashen Commandments," allowed her to quickly rise to fame. However, she would not stay partial towards the Hamantashen for long, as when she got her Master of Fine Arts at Columbia, she later wrote the Latke Cake. This musical had songs such as "The Circle of Latke," "Hakuna Malatka," and "Can You Feel the Latke Tonight?" Here on campus, she oversees countless institutions that are fundamental to our university, such as campus recreation, career services, and the Office of Religious Life. Please join me in welcoming our wonderful moderator, Rochelle Calhoun.
Thank you. I wish I were that talented. It's great to be here. Thank you, Josh. When I was invited to serve as the moderator of the 2016 Latke Hamentaschen Debate, I was deeply honored and am honored to be here. However, I have to admit that after accepting the invitation, I thought that I actually might need to figure out what the heck the Latke Hamentaschen Debate was all about. So for those of you who, like me, needed to brush up on your Jewish culinary celebration cuisine history, I went, to looking about and asking folks what the debate was about. So as Allison mentioned, the first record of the Latke Hamentaschen Debate took place in 1946 at the University of Chicago, which does make this the 70th year on record of the debate. And while there were many choices that could have been made for the food selections for the debate, the Latke and the Hamantashen were chosen. Latke is a food which I'm sure we will hear referred to that is served as Hanukkah and the celebration of the rededication of the Holy Temple in Jerusalem and is observed for 8 nights and days. Hanukkah is also known as the Festival of Lights and celebrated by lighting of the menorah in recognition of the miracle of the one-day supply of oil that lasted 8 days. So it is the oil that brings us the deep-fried and rich foods that are celebrated at this time. What I learned was that not only is it latke, but it's donuts. And I ask you, between the two, pick the donut. Hamantashen is a food served for Purim in recognition of the day of deliverance from the evil plot of Haman to kill all Jews in his region. Oddly, the dessert is also referred to as Haman's ear. So I ask you to note the shape of the Hamantashen when you think about that. In her book, The Great Latke Hamentaschen Debate, author Ruth Friedman Cernia suggests the following guidelines for the debate, and I'm actually so happy that some of these guidelines are being followed. All participants must have a PhD or equivalent degree. Arguments should be framed according to the theoretical position and jargon of the participants' academic discipline, and each symposium must include someone who is not Jewish. That just might be me. But what was interesting is after I received the invitation to moderate today's debate, I got really curious about my own culture, Black culture, and food connections beyond the stereotypical fried chicken and very offensive watermelon, although I secretly admit to you I eat and love both of them. I began to wonder what might be that debate look like. Then I remembered this. Now what I'm holding are pouches made by my sister that have black-eyed peas in them. I realize that these small pouches of black-eyed peas eaten on the New Year's Day in African-American homes have been eaten on New Year's Day in African-American homes for generations, a symbol of hope and prosperity for the coming year. And this pouch, as I said, made by my sister, is placed in my wallet, thereby ensuring my own luck and good fortune. So I wonder, is there the possibility of mounting a new debate, likely during the month of February when all things African American are celebrated? A debate of the black-eyed pea and the collard greens. Now I warn you, before you run out of here believing that I just gave you some incredible new insight to Black culture, the information that I just shared with you may not be generalizable to all of the entire Black population. I'm really not sure if it is in fact about Black people or about the Calhoun family who happens to be Black, and may just represent our own idiosyncratic, superstitious, and slightly paranoid nature of my family. In fact, when I did go online and search for information to verify this is a culturally relevant food and a traditional food eaten on New Year's Day, this is what I read on the website American Foods, and I'm quoting. On New Year's Day, you'll find people throughout the South eating black-eyed peas and greens. Eating black-eyed peas on New Year's Day has been considered good luck for at least 1,500 years. According to a portion of the Talmud, written around 500 AD, it was Jewish custom at the time to eat black-eyed peas in celebration of Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year. It is possible that the tradition arrived to America with Sephardic Jews who first arrived in Georgia in the 1730s. Amazing, right? I felt like, hello, shalom, right? 6 degrees of culinary separation. Maybe the new debate will be black-eyed peas versus latke. The recent years of Princeton debates have added to a history of amazing arguments for either the latke or the Hamantashen. That fount of all knowledge, Wikipedia, has offered several examples of notable arguments. For example, the debate at MIT, where scientist Robert Selve cited his Google search, which returned 380,000 hits on a search for Latke, and only 62,000 for Hamantashen. This was his reason for picking the Latke. Criminal lawyer and professor Alan Dershowitz, during his debate at Harvard University, accused the Latke of increasing the United States' dependence on oil. And former president of Princeton University, Harold Shapiro, argued that the Hamantashen superiority by pointing out the I always mess up on this word. Epicurean significance of the edible triangle, in light of the literary Oedipal triangle. An article that I found in Mental Floss pointed to the historian Bernard Weisberger's Freedom, Latke, and the American Letters, an original contribution to knowledge, where he argues that, quote, anyone who has read Frederick Turner knows the seeds of American democratic institutions were planted on the frontier. And any student of American history knows the frontier was a place where the simplest and crudest instruments of life resources, the axe, the rifle, the skillet, were the weapons in the conquest of the wild wilderness. And what kind of dish do we make in a frying pan? I assure you, it is not the high-priced confection that demands an oven, a more complex piece of engineering, to say nothing of such exotic, un-American, and civilized ingredients as prunes or poppy seeds. And let's not forget the many and varied arguments that were made on this very Princeton stage in recent years. Jill Dolan, dean of the college, argued in 2015 that the Latke is to Judaism what the apple pie is to America. She said, a performative utterance, a foundational identity, a doing as lamented to our souls as those apple pies to Americana. Or in that same year, when Lauren Frost asserted that the Hamantashen symmetry was naturally pleasing, and she actually compared it to Da Vinci's Vitruvian Man, and then led the audience through the many ways the Hamantashen has influenced art history. This presentation ended with Lauren putting on a dinosaur costume, which I confess to you still confuses me. So what new arguments lay in store for us this afternoon? Let me introduce our debaters. For the Latke team, please welcome Melissa Lane, the class of 1943 professor of politics. But for the purpose of this debate, the most important thing to know about her is that she has a PhD in philosophy and is a specialist in the thought of the ancient Greek philosopher Plato, whose insight into the nature of the cosmos will turn out to be the key to our defense of the Latke today. As benefits Platonist, her relationship to the Latke is ideal rather than material. In other words, she does not cook. Nevertheless, by inspiring others to do so, she is proud to serve in that final cause in Aristotle's terms of the production of myriad Latke each year. She's joined on her team by Jonah Herzog-Arbeitman, did I get that good, who is also representing the Latke on the Latke side today. Jonah describes himself as being super excited about the debate. Jonah is a freshman in Quipfire and a prospective physics major. He will stay on campus this summer to do research on structure, formation, and dark matter halos, which I'm sure he is super duper excited about. And he will also be working on his pool game. Jonah has a twin named Abe. He likes really spicy hot sauce, enjoys arguing about politics with people he agrees with, and is a die-hard Latke fan. And representing the Hamantashen team are Philip Y. Goldman, 86% professor of computer science at Princeton. David Dobkin joined Princeton in 1981 and served as dean of the faculty from 2003 to 2014. Professor Dobkin's research has been in the geometric and theoretical underpinnings of computer graphics, i.e., understanding the mathematics needed to project the best possible image onto a computer screen. He has taught courses in a variety of subfields, most recently a course introducing computer science to students with non-technical backgrounds, and a course discussing the policy implications of information technology. Outside of the classroom, as dean, he took photos of everyone he met and includes them in a blog that he has. He also describes himself as an underappreciated, aspiring artist. Professor Dobkin is a Pisces, born on February 29th, and so he hasn't had very many birthdays. So perhaps, since you had one today, we should say, happy belated birthday. Paul Schorin was born with a triangle heart filled with raspberry jam in 1996. This makes him a freshman at Princeton. When he's not campaigning for the rights of the under-desired morsel of Judaica, Paul performs improv comedy with Quipfire. Paul encourages everyone to go to their musical show this weekend at 11. Seriously. He actually is using me and his introduction as a shameless plug for his show. So please go to his show. Paul writes limericks for the Nassau Literary Review as their managing editor, mostly about Hamantashen. As a final note, he would like to add that the Latke looks suspiciously like the turbot fish, also known as a butt. So it is his theory that Latkes equal butt, and not in a good way. So please join me in welcoming our debaters, and I give you Professor May.
The Latke debate of 2016, drawing on little-known Greek inscriptions and the great mystical insights of Greek cosmology, and especially on the great philosopher Plato on the left, pointing up, and remember that Aristotle is pointing down. We'll return to this insight. The Latke, after all, is what Plato would call a sensible particular. It rolls around, being round, between being and not being. Plato's Republic, Book 6, between coming into existence in its particular frying pan and passing away into the arteries of a particular eater. But in its circular form, modeled by my cap, it stirs up the soul and turns it around toward the study of that which is. Plato, Republic, Book 7. And what I will demonstrate this afternoon is that the circularity of the Latke links it to the fundamental beauty of the cosmos in so profound a way that the Hamantashen simply has no chance. So let me initiate you into the mysteries of the circle, which the Latke symbolizes and embodies in 3 steps. First, the perfection of the circle. Secondly, the ether, or the fifth element that constitutes the heavenly spheres. And finally, the unmoved mover. So, the perfection of the circle. Quoting here from Plato's Statesman, the topic of my doctoral dissertation and my first monograph. But unbeknownst to my doctoral supervisor at the University of Cambridge at the time, I began in it also to discover the wonders of the latke. Plato, in this dialogue, gives an elaborate account of the origins and nature of the universe. As his spokesperson says, the universe, the God himself, sometimes accompanies, guiding it on its way and helping it move in a circle. While at other times he lets it go, then it revolves back in the opposite direction. Notice that the God turns the universe in a circular direction. That's because the circle is the most perfect motion that there could conceivably be. So when the God lets go and the universe has to turn itself, it rotates backward, still in a circle, imitating the perfection of the original movement as best, if imperfectly, as it can. And here we have a demonstration of the attempts of all things, so far as they can, to imitate a perfect circle. Yes, these physical latkes are imperfect, but they are imitating the form of the latke, the perfect circular latke in the heavens. And here are the heavens. These are the celestial spheres, the four elements of earth, air, fire, and water in the middle. Then the moon, Mercury, Venus, and so on, all the way out to the circular motion of the stars that are fixed in relation to each other, but rotate through the heavens. This is the great truth of Greek cosmology. And each sphere is composed of a fifth element. So besides earth, air, fire, and water, all of them, of course, entering into the composition of the latke, we have Plato's ether, as we see in Plato's Timaeus, the brightest kind of air, the ether, which is called by the name of ether. And what, you might be wondering, is the ether? Here we have it. It is the medium in which the latke revolves. So finally, we have the question of how the outermost sphere turns. And here I must, with some trepidation, return to Aristotle. Remember, who looked down when Plato looked up. And of course, Aristotle is at risk of introducing sordid materialism and empiricism into our considerations. But nevertheless, as he wrote in a tragically lost work, De Philosophia, we find the unmoved mover as a central constituent of our understanding of the cosmos. So, where is the unmoved mover? Here we are in De Philosophia. The outermost sphere is turned by the unmoved mover. And here is a medieval representation of God, the geometer, the unmoved mover, imitating and moving the world sphere. And this too, we find the latke imitating. Indeed, here is a little known representation of the unmoved mover moving the latke. Now this brings me to a final set of thoughts on the role of Aristotle. For just as the latke imitates the cosmic sphere, so Aristotle, in a way, imitated Plato, and Mordecai imitated Aristotle. And this gives us an explanation, indeed, for the manifest imperfections and inadequacies of the Hamantashen. For Plato's cosmos in the Timaeus is made up out of triangles, but triangles subsumed in the heavenly spheres. So too, we can accept and acknowledge the attempts at circular movements in the festival of Hanukkah. For there are some. We have Hanukkah Gelt, We have a coin honoring Mattathias Vold. But these are but mere imitations of the far greater round perfection of the latke. And this is demonstrated here. Note the ugliness, the ungainliness, the bulgingness of the Hamantashen compared to the relatively round perfection of the material plate, a plate that once more calls to mind the manifest superiority of the latke. And indeed, we can see the subordination of the triangle to the circle throughout mystical philosophy. Indeed, we see it here in this 17th century image, the Pythagorean tetrad set here within the ever more perfect circle. And so, this humble image of the everyday and material demonstrates the superiority of the latkes floating on their bed of ethereal applesauce on the round plate, calling to mind the form of the good latke, the form beyond being in Plato's Republic that gives life and meaning to all the imperfections of our everyday world. Lo, even the angels celebrate the dynamics of the celestial spheres. And finally, all of this is summed up in a Greek inscription that has only recently, last Thursday, come to light. It explains the essence of the kalon, the beautiful. The kalon is the arche, the origin of the universe. It is truth. It is the secret of the cosmos. It is the deepest connection of eternity. And what does it spell? The Greek readers among you will recognize the lambda at the top in this ancient art of Lat Prostics. Yes, reading down latke. I rest my case. Thank you very much.
Melissa, that was a wonderful argument. I'm very impressed, and I didn't mean to point this out, but my heart feels good that as dean I hired you.
Thank you.
I just would point out one thing. That's all 2,000 years old. I mean, what has happened since then? But out of respect for your team, I want to start with a little bit of history. And I'm a computer scientist, and you're just going to see pictures because that's what I do. But I thought that it was important to begin with the question of where are they now? So, the Jewish history consists of they tried to kill us, we won. And so, what happened to Esther and Mordecai? Where are they now? They're buried in the temple of Hamadan. Their tomb is in Hamadan, Iran. It holds their remains. This is the most important pilgrimage site in all of Iran for those Jews who are in Iran. Once the Middle East gets its act together in another 2,000 years, which we now know is not very long, we'll all be able to go visit it, and we'll be very excited about it. I was once in Israel, and I went to find the tomb of the Maccabees in the town of Modi'in, and I couldn't find it, so I did some Google searching. The reason I couldn't find it is nobody can. They think this might be it, but if you read the fine print, the Israel Antiquities Authority would really like people to contribute money so they can explore to see whether this is the tomb of the Maccabees or not. So Esther and Mordecai, important tomb, Maccabees, we don't know where they are. 1 point for our side. Now, I'll confess I began with a little bit of a lie. Jewish history is not, they tried to kill us, we won. Jewish history is, they tried to kill us, we won, let's eat. And so I sort of asked the question, what does Zabar's do? Because if you're going to eat, that's where you go. So on the Zabar's website, I found their holiday gift box. If you zoom in, what do you see but Hamantashen? I also found their Hanukkah card. What do they show in their Hanukkah card? Donuts! Where are the latkes? Well, Zabar's has clearly decided that latkes, they're like pancakes. If you want pancakes, go to PJ's. So Zabar's, PJ's, Hamantashen, latkes. Okay. Now, Melissa gave this wonderful argument about the superiority of the circle. Absolutely brilliant, coming from people who believe that there are 4 planets. The sun rotates around the Earth. Let me take you into a little bit of topology. So we start with the triangle. The triangle is the most basic 2-dimensional shape. And in fact, in the world of the triangle, it's referred to as a 2-simplex. And if you look in a topology book, they will explain to you how you can build everything interesting that is a 2-manifold, which essentially is a 2-dimensional object, out of triangles. And what do you do with this triangle? You fold it, you fold it, you fold it, and you get the Hamantashen, which comes out as a 3-dimensional shape, a triangular-based pyramid. The triangular-based pyramid, also known as the tetrahedron, is what's referred to by topologists as the 3-simplex. Any 3-dimensional shape of interest, any 3-dimensional shape there is, can be built out of tetrahedra, out of 3-simplexes. And so that's the story about the triangle. How do you make a latka? You take some glop, you form it into a circle. Like, who cares? What's interesting about triangles? Well, we have Pythagorean triangles. Somehow Pythagoras wasn't mentioned among the Greeks.
It was.
We have Pascal's triangle, thousands of years later. We have, and Rochelle responded to this, the Oedipal triangle. We have the golden triangle. What do we know about circles? We have pi r squared. We have pi d. Who cares? Well, I knew that people weren't going to just trust my opinion. And so I surveyed various people. So I surveyed our president. And this is interesting because when I surveyed the dean of the college, I got a different story than Rochelle, as we'll see. And I surveyed everybody's favorite professor. And I said to them, where do you come down? They're squarely Hamantashen people. But you know, that was just one point. So I went and asked another leader, our beloved governor, who's pointing for food. And what is he pointing for but a latka? Okay, so that was one group of leaders. Then I surveyed our spiritual leaders. I started with Rabbi Roth, Rabbi Webb. Where do they come down? Solely Hamantashen. But there's been another spiritual person in the news lately. So how about that Ben Carson? He's a lucky guy. Then I wondered about our current president. And what about our next president? Did you ever wonder about his hair? Because you're going to leave with a fundamental truth. Okay, and now I feel like I need to get technical, so I'm going to talk about the one technical thing that I can guarantee everybody in the audience, even Plato, knows about from computer science, which is Google. And so I asked the question, like, what does Google say? And in particular, it's been in the news lately that Google has built a program that can beat the world's champion Go player. And how do they do this? They do this by being able to look ahead, by being able to see the future, and by being able to know what's coming next. And when you do a Google search, it's pretty remarkable. They don't only give you the answer, but they tell you what it is that you wanted, maybe better than you thought you knew. So I went to Google and I entered the question, what will be tomorrow's headlines? Because I know you all have to vote, and I wanted to save you the time. So here's what they told me about tomorrow's Prince. And here's what they told me about tomorrow's New York Times. So I rest my case.
Ladies and gentlemen, I come before you today with a grave truth. Science is finished. We can go no farther with our current understandings of the universe. We need a new paradigm. We need a new theory to bring forward a new world, a new vision of the universe. And that theory, ladies and gentlemen, is Latke theory. Using this simple idea, we understand the Latke. For generations, we have used it to fill our stomachs and to bring pride to the Jewish people. We understand this food. Can we use this food to understand the whole universe? And I promise you the answer is yes. Now, the core of this theory is that simple. We know exactly what a latke is. Einstein knows exactly what a latke is. Can we combine these two brilliant concepts, and indeed people, and create something beautiful, create something new and powerful? Now, my postulate for Latke theory is that the universe at every scale is built of latkes, is built of these elegant forms, as we've talked about. And in fact, immediately with this postulate, we see elegance, we see beauty. Take the Earth, for instance, and notice the symmetry, the apparent symmetry between the Earth and the Latke. Now, this is no coincidence. This is no coincidence. Because instead of viewing the Earth as an ugly collection of atoms with heinous interactions too complicated to think about, we can treat the Earth identically as a Latke. It's a wild idea, I know, but we can take it further. Take a galaxy. Does anyone know what galaxy this is? Well, it doesn't matter, because whatever galaxy it is a Latke. Any ensemble of atoms, any horrid configuration of bosons and mesons are just Latkes in disguise. And this profound innovation allows us to catapult science to new and incredible places. Now, there's even a team at Princeton working on simulating the Big Bang with Latke theory. This was a model they developed for their presentation in Sweden. I anticipate it will win the Nobel Prize. I'm going to share it with you here. This is, in fact, how we believe. This is the inception of the universe. Before, it is impossible to understand, even to conceptualize, without the rigor, without the power, without the beauty of Latke theory. And here, just before you, we can see 13.8 billion years. It truly moves me. Now that's... There are those among us who do not understand the inherent superiority of Latke theory. And for that, let's return to our model of the Earth, right? An elegant, elegant tool is the Locke for modeling this system. The Hamantashen, look at this. It's a terrible fit. Even the non-scientific ones among us can tell that this is a bad theory. And for the scientific ones out there, they may protest. How about renormalization Hamantashen theory? Can we cover the Earth? Can we continue to build a better model? The answer is, in fact, no. You can compute the residual area left over, and we can never get as good as we want. We can never build the appropriate approximation. One Locke, even infinite Hamantashen, cannot replace the elegance. In fact, evaluating that expression tells us explicitly that Locke theory is 65% better than Hamantashen theory. I let you think about that. Now that's the big stuff. Can we explain the tiniest, most infinitesimal elements of our universe with Locke theory? Yes, totally. Quarks, the fundamental, what we believe to be the fundamental pieces of atoms in our universe, always come in threes. Now, do Lockes always come in threes? Yes, in fact, they always come in threes. And as so eloquently demonstrated by my opposing counsel, we see Hamantashen come in all sorts of numbers. There is no conserved quantity in Hamantashen theory. There is no inherent elegance. And that is what Locke theory provides us. And that's not all. It's not just truth and beauty. It's computationally useful. Look at this horrible quantum Lagrangian. I don't even understand it. But with Locke theory, we can symbolically represent this as just a single Locke. Because indeed everything, as I claimed, is a single Locke. Now, even our brilliant forefathers understood the potential of Locke theory. Indeed, while Einstein was postulating relativity, he came across an object that looks remarkably like a Locke, but discarded it because he was afraid of its power. He knew that something this incredible could change mankind, could not just build an atomic bomb, perhaps could create another universe, and he shied away from this. But in the 21st century, we can use the Locke model. And indeed, what is the Locke model? It is perfection. It is everything we've been looking for in a field theory of our universe. Before, we could ask questions like, what is an atom? How big is the universe? Why haven't we found other life forms on other planets? Now we can ask questions with Locke theory, and only with Locke theory, like, what is love? How do we find meaning in this empty void of whirling nothingness, this all-consuming desolation, this cold and blank vacuum? Only Locke theory can tell us the answer to this question. Even more profound and basic questions like, why? How? And remarkably, the answer to all of them is the Locke. I will leave you with one last equation that I truly believe is self-evident. In fact, this is the core of Locke theory, and this is what I believe is the generator of our universe. Its inherent superiority truly is implicit. Thank you.
L'chaim to all of you. Okay. Hamantashen, a literary history. These people talk of science and they talk of regular history, but they don't understand the real value of the Hamantashen, besides my colleague, Professor Dobkin. Throughout history, the Hamantashen has been used to demonstrate a certain symbolism within the hidden art and the hidden forms of literature and art and science. This is the original drawing of the Vitruvian Man. This was from Marquand. Originally, this is the original design, and then Da Vinci erased it because he was like, the world isn't ready for this. Cut some slack for those guys. But you'll see this pattern of the Hamantashen appearing again and again in literature and art. So I want to call to mind one of our greatest writers and artists, Shakespeare, who in his play Jamlet talked about a prince who was very dissatisfied with an uncle who came in and said, only latkes. And he was like, what? And then he said, oh, well, now we should get Hamantashen again. So this is clue Shakespeare left for us. So starting from the 33rd line of Act 3, Scene 3, going by the Hamantashen rule of threes, we get this little passage. Ha, thou haveth the want to think mothers, amassing a pancake spud, trove atop a plate, mistake some careless shark-toothed lover, and as you've octed upon ruined lives abate. Nth degree a horror made in starch, best use 'tween one glass and wood top, 'tis a sad abuse. Allot me some awe-filled answer to an awful lot, so laden with a stocky potato stench, knit me hail jams cakes, triangular and build handeth me. This is a very famous passage. But this is not the only piece that Shakespeare left for us to find. As you saw with a very short acrostic before, there's a slightly longer acrostic here for Hamantash that Shakespeare left for us in the side. But that can't be it, because Shakespeare is pretty good, I've heard. So here, if you count by nines, do 3 times 3, you begin to see some words emerge here. I've highlighted every 9th letter for you. It reveals Hamantashen are the best, down with latkes, This is literally just from reading some of our greatest artists. This is not me at all. This is just what it is. So I want to remind everyone the importance of 3. 3 is a number symbolizing stability in Judaism, not just in architecture, like the Hamantashen, which has 3 points. I don't know if you've noticed that. Conversely, latkes have no real points, and Latke debaters have even fewer points. It's just the way it works. I don't mean to. It's just the way it works. However, it doesn't stop there. Other artists in history have used the Hamantashen as a literary device. It symbolizes hope and individualism. After all, you can put any jam in a Hamantashen. My grandma uses chocolate chips. She's a wild card out there. Latkes usually, I've seen applesauce here, sometimes sour cream, but after that, yeah, okay. So we got Jam Quixote by Miguel de Cervantes, where a delusional knight seeks Hamantashen in a land that only has latkes. The spinning windmill of latkes is a common image. You got Catcher in the Rye Bread by J.D. Salinger, where a boy escapes from boarding school to go find Hamantashen, since they only have latkes at boarding school, as everyone knows. Frankentashen by Mary Shelley, where a mad scientist attempts to create the perfect Hamantashen before finally realizing that any Hamantashen is the perfect Hamantashen, because any Hamantashen can be what you want it to be, not like this strict rules of a latke. Then you have Huckleberry Hamantashen. It's a very popular story. It's just about Hamantashen filled with huckleberry jam. That's all it is. Tinker Tailor Hamantashen Spy by Jean Le Carré. It is a mole has been planted within the agency, and they have to snuff him out, and it's pretty awful. No spoilers, but Gary Oldman wins, so that's good. And Beloved by Toni Morrison, which I can only assume is about Hamantashen, since I just assume anything about love or beloved items is about Hamantashen. It's just the only thing I can relate to. Again, just facts, just me doing my thing. But where have the latkes been, you are probably asking now. This is a photo taken of a latke snorting cocaine with Jonah Hill on a boat. Just regular photography. Jonah Hill's probably on the phone ordering more latkes and more cocaine. They kind of go hand in hand. Criminal activities, guys. Stay in school. In the present day as well, this is actual unedited text from email exchanges with organizers. The Lake Hamantashen debate. Our organizers are so bored by the concept of a latke, they don't even bother to spell it correctly. They would prefer a debate of lakes and Hamantashen than a latke Hamantashen debate. In conclusion, if Hamantashen are good enough for Shelley, Shakespeare, Da Vinci, Morrison, and Twain, aren't they good enough for you smart people? smart people, yeah. Also, I'd like to point out latkes as circular items don't even fit onto a page. Most books, if you've noticed, have rectangular pages, which are made from triangles, like Hamantashen. Very interesting. The famous words of Johnny Cochran, if it doesn't fit, you must vote for Hamantashen. He said this during the OJ trial. It was a kind of a tangent, but it was there. Yeah. So, yeah, there you go.
I think do it from here. So now is the question-answer part of the debate. So who do we have that have questions? Yes.
I'm sorry, for the Locke side,
Certainly.
you mentioned about the number of threes in your presentation, about how Locke come in threes. But the Hamantashen side made very good use of 3 in proving why Hamantashen are superior. So explain to us why 3 is better associated with the Locke than the Hamantashen.
It's really very simple. So when we look at Lakas in the wild, we see them in threes. However, when we look at Hamantashen in the wild, they come in incongruous numbers. Only in this synthetic, very, very careful laboratory scenario do we see the lone Hamantashen.
Could I have a rebuttal, or is that allowed?
I think rebuttals are allowed.
Hamantashen have 3 points. But just every single one comes in 3s. That's it. Yeah, we're good. 3.
Beta the 3s. Any other questions? Remember, based on this information, you must make an incredible decision and vote. So get all of your questions answered. Yes.
So I noticed that you were drinking some grape juice, but generally grape juice comes from grapes, and in fact grapes are made of singular objects. So I was curious if you could elaborate on that.
Well, I was just supporting Kedem. We're actually sponsored by Kedem. Where Kedem and Monteshevitz are on our side. I don't think they have any sponsors, actually. But yeah, you can talk. I can get you, her name's Darlene. She's the secretary. I can get you their number, and they'll send you a pamphlet immediately.
We just like to point out that we're not beholden to any sponsors. We're a wholly independent.
Wall Street cannot buy the lot
That's
guy.
right.
Very good. I saw another hand.
Yeah, I was going to say, so you're saying you saw the grape juice lobby? You're saying you sold out the grape juice lobby?
No, they reached out to us. Kedem needs the sponsors right now, and they really love Hamantashen over there. You'll actually notice in a Kedem logo, they're made of triangular shapes if you look closely. Yeah, and they were just like, this is a great thing to jump on board. We got the winning team. They already Googled tomorrow's headlines. They already knew it. So they figured it was a win-win situation, and we were like, yeah, sure, we'll help a fella out. So yeah.
And how many of you regularly drink Kedem?
Yeah, you guys know it.
Oddly, there were 3. Very good. Oh, we have one more. Oh, 2 more.
Yeah.
Why is it that people generally eat latkes all year round, but the Hamantashen only come up around the season?
Who are you asking?
Need we
Me?
roll?
Why is it saved? Why is it not as commonplace?
I mean,
That's not true at all.
that's what I was gonna say.
I would answer your question, but I don't really understand your question. I mean, look at Zabar's. That gift basket is year-round. I mean, you get Hamantashen, you get babka cake, you get bagels, you get this, you get that. The reason for the obesity problem in the United States is because people eat latkes at all, let alone, at one time of the year.
Hamantashen also have a serving of fruit usually, which is very good for your vitamins. So they don't contribute to obesity at all.
Professor Lane, I'd like to ask you if we could use the Latke to solve that great mystery in Greek philosophy. Is the Latke perfect because it's loved by God, or is God loved by
Latke because it's perfect.
Thank you very much. This is a profound question, actually, that we find, as you know, in Plato's Euthyphro. And I think that as Socrates argues in that dialogue, we have to assume that we have to lead our reasoning to the view that God loves the Latke because the Latke is perfect. It's the inherent perfection of the Latke, or its perfection relative to the form of the Latke, which God loves.
What?
For Team Latke, how can you justify the presence of the Latke in Dante's Inferno, where he has the inhabitants of, where he has the river Phlegeton, which overflows with boiling oil, which can be used to create latkes?
this is a profound question again, because Dante also was a great Platonist, and so he planted a little bit of latke in hell, as you say, to give people hope. They have to have some hope to lead them out to paradise.
Could I rebuttal? No, I would like to note that the circles of hell are actually circular, much like a latke. So it's more of an ironic hope, because they're just going to be walking through latkes for the rest of their life.
Great. Any last questions? Oh, yes.
I have one question for Team Hamantashen. I noticed the use of a latke in your depiction of Donald Trump, and while it makes sense that the latke would be used as a toupee, it's been noted in some media coverage that with Donald Trump's tiny, tiny hands and short, stubby fingers, the Hamantashen is actually the only food he's capable of picking up. The use of the utensil, and it's actually a favorite food of his. How do you reconcile that seeming contradiction?
6'4", and my hands are normal size, as are my body parts.
I'd also like to add that Donald Trump's hands, I don't know if you've looked at them, but they're also so small, they actually come kind of circular. And it's just, he's like trying to grab these Hamantashen, because he is made, in fact, of latkes, he is not able to grasp the beauty of the Hamantashen. He really isn't. It's really sad. It's a whole YouTube thing, yeah.
Great. Thank you all very much. Great question.
If we could please give another round of applause for the moderator and debater. Allison and I will be passing out these purple ballots, and we will be taking votes to see which food is truly superior. And afterwards, there is both latkes and Hamantashen downstairs in the Oaks lobby. And we will be announcing which food won there. So please make sure to cast a vote, go down and get food, and have a great day. Thank you so much.
Very good.
I like our balance of like science and history.
Definitely.
It was in theory.